Anyway, what I'm going to talk about is what Amanda Lancaster's done. So we know we can go over to the court docket and we can see that judgment in this case, this man filed suit in his non-legal name and hit his California jurisdiction. They never even served me divorce papers, right? We had a hearing on June 5th, 2025, and I go in there and God downloads me right when I'm in court, as nasty-mouthed as I am. And he says, ask him in court, how come they've never legally recorded judgment against you in the court docket as prescribed by law? Well, where is it? You know, because you have to before you can start serving writs. They never served me divorce papers. They didn't want anything that would show a legal divorce ever took place. So they never served me divorce papers with the required documents, right? They never did this. You see this? Required documents to file a divorce complaint. They didn't do it because he filed suit in his non-legal name outside of his California jurisdiction. Law enforcement doesn't seem to think that this is Alaska. This is Nazi, the land of the Nazi. Yeah, it may. There's no Republican and Democrat. Do you think they fix elections up here? They fix court cases. They damn well sure do fix elections. Okay, so anyway, we go through court, and then Judge Heath makes up his omnibus order on 6/15/2018, and he does a judgment denied, and then it turns into a judgment denied stay against me. So I never have a judgment recorded against me on the court docket, right? But they relitigate that. They don't like it. The case has gone through the Supreme Court, too. There's all kinds of things, yeah. And no judgment entered before it went to the Supreme Court, and then after, case gets closed. They drag me back to court in 2021 because they don't like his order because they're not conducive to stealing a trust fund. They need me to have a judgment to steal that trust fund. Okay, so then they drag me back to court in 2021, right? And then they give me judgment. Right? Case closed. Their case is reopened now. Okay, so now they're going to open it on false pretenses to enforce orders and then child support. Sounds like we're talking just about child support. No, they're going to relitigate a judgment that was asked for and motioned for back in 2017, September 20th, 2000. That's what they're going to do. So we'll go way in the way back machine, and we'll go back to September 2020. Notice of filing proposed judgment. Okay, they're going to say that I'm not seeing crap right. I don't know. It went through the Supreme Court, and they're going to give me judgment in 2000. Now we got to go in the way back machine, the way up machine, and we're going to go up to 2021, right? Okay, then they're going to, they say, give me judgment, but they know it's already been judged before, and it was a judgment denied stay. So, you know, they can't really do that. They can't really record that on the court docket because it'll look funny with two judgments, right? So anyway, they do that. 8/6/2021. That is not how, who's it to? How much is it for? You know, the whole thing. Well, they want it open-ended because there's a trust fund being stolen, right? So 8/3/2021, they just put this down. Doesn't say who it's to. That's why PFD would never garnish my PFD, because they went in the court docket. They saw Judge Heath's judgment denied stay. That's why. Okay, then they amend it. They add more money to it, right? They say it was a clerical error. Well, they apparently did it twice, right? They did a clerical. How does a judgment get entered? By the judge or by the direction of the court clerk. They didn't make two clerical errors. This was intentional. They knew it had been judged by Heath already before. So then they amend that judgment, right? Okay. They tell me on paper that it's, you know, $35,000 now, you know, but there's nothing hard copied on the docket. That's why they, by law, in every state, you're supposed to hard copy that judgment on the docket before you can start serving writs. Why? Because if you're like doing a RICO crime or crap, this figure can get manipulated later on. You know, I mean, especially if a home induction, they're going to kidnap you. Then they've got your computer and all your evidence. So now they can just change this to whatever they want, right? There's nothing hard issued on the court docket, right? So anyway, this is just insanity. And how do I stand it? Because I was an abused child. So I was defending myself at trial when I was 6. That's how come on. That's why I can do it, because I've been doing it. See these are thefts from a trust fund. Right. If you don't have a legally recorded judgment, can you serve writs? No, you can't. So what is this? Now, I go because they say, I'm at work, right, in 2022. Someone walks up to me and hands me papers with a writ in it, right? But I don't get any legal service. Just someone at work handed me papers. And they tell me, don't open it there, don't open it there. This was staged, right? I open it, and it says that they're going to garnish my wages. They're not doing it, I find out. They're garnishing a trust fund. But they made me believe they were garnishing my wages, right? And I'm not seeing it coming off my paychecks, too. So I'm like, I'm really confused. But most people, if they're getting their wages, they're like, they're not doing it. I'm not going to say anything. No, I'm going to say crap. Okay. So I'm kind of like, I go into the boss this year and I talk to the bookkeeper, and she says, we've only garnished one person since the Durham's been in Alaska, and it wasn't you. So these aren't wage garnishments. Durham's saying these are not. They've never garnished me. What are these? These are trust writs of execution and trust writs of garnishment. They are hiding on the court docket as wage garnishments. And what else? They've never entered legal judgment against me. So they shouldn't be garnishing crap, but they are, because this is a fraudulent case. Now, look over here. Okay, so they do this. Now let's go down to 2024, July 2024. Okay, so we're going to go down here. See this? Wait. Wage, garnishment, disbursement, Turnagain law. Right? Look at that. Right? Now, used to say $119. Kind of looks like they kind of changed things a little bit. A little bit. Yeah. So, but this is how it looked. Right? When I found it with my deceased mommy. So anyway, that's how it looked. It looked like this on the docket. Right? And it said, I think you can put it in a different format, go down further on the court docket, and it'd say that trust writ of garnishment. And it says over here next to it, $119. And it says, and remember, I haven't worked for Durham since 2022. This shows up in 2024. This is a trust fund writ. It's not a wage garnishment, right? So then it says the case, wage garnishment disbursement, and then it says 119.01, okay? There's the check, there's the account, right? Okay, now, Kevin's attorney goes into court this year, and she's telling him in court, here's one, we go to court on 6/5/2024, and she says, Miss LG's only made this wage garnishment, this 119.01. She's calling it a wage garnishment. Haven't worked for Durham since 2022. And they're saying that they got a wage garnishment from Durham on 7/25/2024. Well, we know she's lying, right? I mean, she's a lying sack of shit. Okay, so anyway, okay, so then that happens. Now, we got to go look at the court docket. She's saying on here, the following amounts were paid directly from the debtor to the creditor after the judgment was entered. Okay, we got that. Now, what happened to those other ones, right? What happened to those other ones from 2023? How come she's lying to the court and she's not talking about these? 123.23, wage garnishment payment. So she's lying to the court and saying that's all I've get. They garnished my wages, and she said I only made $115 payment, or 119. This one, right? How come she's missing the other two? How come she's missing these two that are recorded on the docket? Why isn't she putting those down? Why is she lying to the judge? Why isn't she telling the judge we closed down Kim's bank account back in 2022 with that writ, with that trust fund writ? We also shut down this bank account here. See? Levy garnishment fee, server Alaska Court Services, right? So this is the trust fund writ too. It's on the same one that shut this bank account down at Alaska USA, my 20-year bank account. You remember things like that. How come she's not putting those other two payments here? And how come she's not putting them shutting down my bank account? Because they are on that trust fund writ. That's why, right? So she's lying here. She's saying to the court, she's only paid us $119.01, which we garnished from her wages, which I wasn't working on 7/25. I've worked since 2022, November 2022, because the gang stalked me at work and handed me false writ papers. And Durham tells me, yeah, it was pretty much all a setup. You really weren't garnished to garnish your wages. Somebody just handed his papers to hand to you, made me believe that I got a writ when I didn't get a writ. And is that legal service for that writ? No. But that paper had what in it? A claim of exemption form, right? So this is how a commie country works, right? So they're always setting crap up. By the way, I'm full-blood American. Yeah, I just like to emphasize that. Yeah, like, just like take my Constitution to heart, act like one. Tyranny, I'm going to go BS crazy on your ass. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. Okay, so the person at work hands me the writ. Durham says they were actually never served the writ to garnish my wages, right? So right here, they say employer's response to writ of execution. I don't know what they did, because they said, we have only garnished one person since we've been in Alaska, and we have never garnished you. So I go ahead and I fill out a claim of exemption form, and they give it to me. So it was in November, so I'll have to go up to November. Right there. Issued to process server. Yeah, all these shouldn't even be served. Why? Because there was no legal judgment entered in the court docket, right? So right there on 11/22, because of the papers I was handed at work to tell me federal marshals served me while I was gone from work, but they served me at work, right? So that's not legal service anyway. So but inside those papers that whomever handed whomever to pass off to me as legal had a claim of exemption form in it. So I fill it out and I turn it in. They give it to me because I tell them what in that claim of exemption. It's already gone to the Supreme Court. Judge Heath already judged this, denied. I shouldn't even be here. You shouldn't be serving me false writs from false judgments. This has already been litigated. It's already been litigated. They're like, So anyway, I turn it into court, and immediately the clerk gives me a claim of exemption issued right there, right? That means they're not going to garnish my paychecks, right? But they go on to take something. Well, Durham says they're not garnishing my wages, right? But the court system says they are. What the hell's going on? Stolen trust fund. That's what's going on. So now my mouse doesn't want to work. They do this all the time. Okay, so, but what do we know? We also know what? There's never been a legal judgment entered against me, right? So we go up here, judgment has to say name, how much money, the whole thing, right? So on 8/31, and who verifies it? PFD. They're the only ones that verify it. Nobody else. Law enforcement, they can be handed fraudulent papers and get a crooked judge, get a crooked whatever. They can just raise hell on innocent people's lives. They're showing up like Nazis. They might not even know they're going to show up like Nazis. And here's these old people going, I'm okay. And I go, no, this judge says you're not okay. That's what happened to that school teacher, principal of the year. Yeah, they hauled her ass off, right? Based on false crap. Same thing here. No legally entered judgment. You're not supposed to be able to serve any writs or anything. Does it say who it's for? There's just this word, judgment, in the docket. Say who it's for? Say how much it is? Say, no, it doesn't. Where does it say that? It's not. Now, I was told, this was a clerical error. At the direction of the court, by the judge either enters the judgment himself or he directs the court clerk to do so. Okay, so this is a clerical error. Oopsie effing daisy. Yeah, no, this isn't a clerical error. They knew Judge Heath already judged it. Okay, so now we're going to go down because they're going to amend this. Yeah, they're in here. So they're going to amend it. Okay, so they do that on 8/3/2021. Now they're going to amend it. Another clerical error, because what are they not doing? They're not putting out who the judgment's to, the amended judgment for who, how much, whatever, because they're still in a trust fund, right? That's why they're not going to do it. If this is open-ended, that's why in all courts, you're supposed to put the amount of judgment entered on the court docket so it can't be manipulated later on to read something else, right? Well, they planned on doing a home abduction with me. That's what they planned on. That's why I'm freaking out and I'm raising hell. Okay, so now we know there should be no writs even served to me ever. because they don't even have a legally recorded judgment against me in the court docket, and they did that on purpose. That's what they did. And so anyway, Judge Heath already judged it denied on 1/1/2019 from his 615 omnibus order. The case went through the Supreme Court too. So they're just dragging me back into court with a man using false identification, right? Hiding his full legal name, Kevin Alfonsi LG, and hiding his California jurisdiction, stole assets, transferred them over the border into California, and then came back to Alaska and filed suit against Kim LG in 2015. Told Kim LG, I've changed my name back to Kevin Alfonsi. No, he didn't. And that was a big secret. Then I go to Vital Statistics and they tell me your husband didn't file suit in his legal name. But yeah, they're hiding all this thefts that they've already done. So they shouldn't have served me any writs. They shouldn't have been stealing any money out of my bank account or anything because they didn't have a legally recorded judgment. Now, I get led to see this document on Tuesday, December, not this Tuesday, I mean this document last week. And I get 7 emails from this bookkeeper from my attorney's office, right? In the whole 4 years, I have Ken Goldman as my attorney. This isn't coming, this isn't flagged, this one, because I don't work with this lady. I get emails at Ken's office from Ken. I get them from Jenny and from Sandy. That's usually who I get them from. So this one was never flagged, and I just found it last week, right? And anyway, it shows them billing a trust fund, right? And it says, I have you on my calendar for a trust payment of $500 due on the 15th. And I'll look at the date of the month, right? Okay, so it leads all the way back to her, right? So that's where it leads back to. Okay, so we do know that they went to my mother's probate court, my ex-husband, and my attorney, and they stole my trust fund, okay? And I tell law enforcement, they say they can't see anything. Yes, they can't read a court docket. Nobody can read a court docket looking for a legal recorded judgment, but guess who can? PFD can. They sent a writ to PFD to garnish my PFD, and PFD would never do it, right? Because they saw Judge Heath. They went clear back and saw this judgment is motioned for clear back on 9/20/2017. What the hell are they having a judgment in 2021? Something's going on here. And then they said, yeah, no, this has already been judged by Judge Heath. Okay, so, but they gotta have a judgment to steal the trust fund money. So then where does my trust fund show up? My attorney ends up suing me for his attorney fees, right? So that's it. He sues me for his attorney fees. So it does show up in my divorce case, right, as a trust writ of garnishment for 1/19/01, right? And then it shows up also back in Ken's case when they first acquire it. He's my trustee. That's why he's billing my trust fund, right? And what is he doing? Trust writs of execution and trust writs of garnishment. After the case is closed, he's suing me for his attorney fees. Well, I don't even know I have a trust fund. He knows I don't know I have a trust fund. Even though he's my trustee, he knows that. So he's waiting until the case is closed, and then he's going to go back in and he's going to start doing some trust writs of execution and trust writs of garnishment, right? That's what he's going to do. So he does, right? And here I am, la-di-da. I don't even know I've been left a trust fund, but my husband does. That's why he doesn't want a legal divorce. That's why he filed suit in his non-legal name outside of his California jurisdiction. That's why. And I'm a psychic intuitive, yeah. So I'm going to get led to it. God likes free will. He likes you to use your free will, and then he likes to hang your ass. And he does it to all of us, so don't think you're special. Yeah, I get instant karma. That's how it works for Earth Angels. We don't get to wait a long time like you. We get instant karma. So anyway, that's how it works. And yeah, they shut down my bank account, but Amanda Lancaster doesn't know any of that too. This is a national good. She's military, right? In the Guard. Yeah. That's got to be special. So you can see this writ, information for issuance of general writ of execution. And she's lying on here. She's not putting those other writs that are in the court docket, or not writs, but payments in the court docket. She's not doing that. That's kind of interesting, right? That she wouldn't do that. Yeah, I find it very interesting. So she starts sending me writs weekly for harassment. Remember, there's no legally recorded judgment, so I shouldn't be getting this harassment at all right? But I am. I'm getting it. So they blocked up my, got to go down here and do a quick open. God, it just pisses me off. Yeah, they infiltrate your crap. They get on and so anyway, on March 18th, they're like, you know, they're say I have a $35,000 judgment, but they'll never record it in the court docket, and they're coming to take my home, you know, and everything else. So that was that. We're taking your 2 rental cabins. We're taking your vehicles. We're taking your hot tub. We're taking your home and your land for the $35,000 judgment. They'll never enter in the court docket, right? This was a whole estate robbery, trust fund transfer, pension transfer. That's why they went at the very end, is still the 302 operating engineer pension. And they were still in the home and everything. And I'm 65. So what a perfect time to do it. Plus, at the second probate, now Ken Goldman acquired my trust fund with my husband, right? And then they pass it off to Amanda Lancaster and Samantha Fleming, who start off at Blake Quackenbush, and then Amanda leaves with the trust fund and goes over to Turning Law. So now she's the trustee at the trustees. She is also my husband's attorney for our fake divorce. How convenient, right? How convenient. So anyway, she wants to really send terror in me, you know, because she says, you know, we're coming to take your 2 rental cabins. We're taking your vehicles. We're taking your hot tub. We're taking your home and your land for this $35,000 judgment. They'll never enter in the court docket. They shouldn't be taking anything. Well, this day, she decides to add Judge Cagle's name to it. So you got to see, these writs that she's sending me don't have a judge's name on it. Don't have this on it or anything, right? And you can see the other ones, they don't have it on it. But this is the day she decides, oh, I'm going to send some extra fear into her. I'm going to put Judge Cagle's name on here. I want her to know who's going to help me do this to her. Okay, but remember, what do we know? No legal judgment has ever been entered in the court docket against me. All right? With, you know, that's under Civil Rule 58 and 54B. They should not be sending me any writs, harassing me, or anything. But this is all this case was for 9 years, was harassment. Me and my 13-year-old special needs son. We went through 9 years of a man using false identification. And the police department, detective, can't read. I'm telling them, I'm sending this to them, saying, hey, you know, she's not serving me writs to my address. You know, she's not serving them to 2150 South Endeavor Street. She's not serving them to my P.O. Box 872242. Something's going on. And then, yeah, they've taken my identity when they sold that trust fund that shows on Ken's case where he sues me, transferred my identity to 5420 Dixon West, Dixon, California, where Kevin's been hiding. He's living. Well, they didn't just take, you know, Kevin and hide him. They took me and hid me. Now they got to get rid of the real me. So, you know, they can have full access to that trust fund, and they can have the 2 rental cabins, the vehicles, the hot tub, and my home and land where I live, right? So that's why this was a whole, and my pension. They just got done taking the pension, so they were doing a whole identity transfer, right? So that's what they were doing, you know, and it's terrifying. You know, it's absolutely terrifying. You know, I'm not bragging. I absolutely am not. I am blessed by God because I can still run. I'm 65. I could jump on the trampoline, smoke a cigarette, and drink a glass of wine all at the same time. Blessed by God. That is it. You know, I've done nothing more special than anybody else. He, you know, had just blessed me. You know, I mean, he's just blessed me. That's it. You know, and those gifts can be taken away at any time for any of us. But, you know, I mean, I can still do that. So, but what they're used to doing is they're used to attacking. And you got to imagine this kind of torture. This is long drawn out torture of 9 years and what it can do to somebody's health, right? Plus we had our well sabotaged. The well man said they pulled your well. I don't know if they poisoned it. My son had liver damage, and he ended up having to have major surgery. So I don't know, what they've done to us. They took my land in a back room. They replatted it. They put it on another plat to conflict the title to prevent our sale. So they were targeting us, right? Like Nazis, like friggin' Nazis, So anyway, we got targeted. I think it's due to a bank, a bank and bank fraud that they did to us. I do think this all goes back, because people are like, where does it go back to? I believe it goes back to the bank that actually has the trust fund. That's what I believe. Yep, I do. So anyway, and I am a psychic intuitive. So yeah, I said she will not serve by writs by legal process. So yeah, this is 9 years of horror. My special needs son had to grow up in it. His dad came, was pretending he's living in Alaska to me, but then later on when they would kill me, and abduct me from the home, then they'd say, oh no, what divorce are you talking about? There's no divorce. There's no divorce between Kevin Alfonsi Elgie and Kim Elgie. There's nothing on the court docket. It doesn't come up. So anyway, that's that, right? So, we get down here to the court, and I file in the court. We have a hearing on 6/5/2025, and the judge comes back with their orders, and they try to say, well, the judgment not entered correctly in the court docket's a clerical error. And I file to the court that an objection to the judge's orders, which they still haven't addressed. And I did it the day they came out. I wrote an objection and turned it out. I said, this divorce case has final judgments in the Supreme Court case. It went to the Supreme Court without a judgment entered against me, came back from the Supreme Court without a judgment entered against me, and case closed, right? And so then it went on for years, and Judge Heath refused to record an equalization judgment against me. And then they open it up in 2021 and decide to do it, right? And I say Judge Heath has already judged this. That's why I got that wage garnishment exemption issued the first time, was because they saw Judge Heath. Permanent fund dividend sees Judge Heath already judged it. So, yeah, of course. So then, I did that. Then they came back and said I didn't do a certificate of service correctly. And then I said, and then she said, oh, yeah, we sent that actually in error to you. You did do a certificate of service, because they don't want to address this. That the case has already gone through the Supreme Court, that they've drugged me and my child through hell, right? I mean, absolute hell for 9 years, fake ass hell, where I have to go get a real divorce because of all the fraud and harassment that these son of a bitches did to us, right? True Nazis. They are true Nazis. There's no more truer Nazi. So anyway, yeah, they're Nazis, just son of a bitch and Nazis. So, it's a state of tyranny, and they like it, definitely, right? Yeah, let me see. Let's open up a new window. I don't need to be in here anymore. So we're going to go to my Facebook, and so what do I find? I find out that my husband colluded with my attorney, right? We know he had colluded with my attorney, and they went and they got my trust fund, right? And I'm estranged for the family. I think I'm disinherited. That's fine with me. Life goes on. I don't care. But they got to get rid of me because there's that trust fund. As long as I'm alive, I'm a threat to that trust fund. You can imagine the terror that instills in me and my child. Just the whole thing, right? So, This is the video that, is important. It shows Kevin colluding with Ken. I love it, but it's plural on the. This is the most honest document. I love it, but it's plural on their S. So he's claiming both attorneys, which is true, right? This is the truest document you'll ever see, right? So I hired Kim Goldman as my attorney, and my husband and him are going to go steal my trust fund. But Kevin, his attorney, is Justin Eschbacher, right? He's shown over here. right there. Motion to amend decree of divorce and restore plaintiff's maiden name. And then there's Kevin's attorney, right? So Kevin, it's me. There's Kevin Alfonsi, not his legal name. And his attorney even proves it in this document, right? And versus Kim Elgie. So he filed suit in that non-legal name. A decree was issued in that name. But his attorney said there was actually a divorce decree produced in his legal name, but it never was. So we got lion-ass attorneys all over the place, right? So in this case is in Alaska. So on here, right, he's gonna ask for a name change because they're gonna go falsify a qualifying domestic relations order. That's what they're gonna do. So, but Kevin will never really change his name to this, right? But anyway, we go motion to amend decree of divorce and restore plaintiff's maiden name. Come now, plaintiff, by and through the undersigned counsel, and herewith moves this court to amend the decree of divorce to restore the plaintiff maiden name to Kevin Lawrence Alfonsi to falsify QDR order, right? So the plaintiff's name is listed as Kevin L. Alfonsi LG on his driver's license. Well, we know that's true. It still is. So anyway, it will be after divorce is final. DMV changed Mr. Alfonsi's name to Alfonsi LG following his marriage. DMV will not restore the name of Alfonsi to plaintiff without a court order. The plaintiff therefore requests that the court amend the decree of divorce issued in this matter. Where? Prove it.
Never issued in that name. Never.
And restore the name to Kevin Lawrence Alfonsi. So he's saying at this day, he's using the name Kevin Alfonsi LG. Then why do you have this up here in the corner? It should say Kevin Alfonsi LG. You're restoring it. Yeah, so we know we just got a bunch of lion-ass attorneys.
Yep.
They're all hot and bothered.
Got a trust fund.
Because they've stolen trust fund from me, right? Okay. So, but, my attorney's working for Kevin, and Kevin has his own attorney. So you got to imagine, I'm in a court case with a man using his non-legal name, right? And both attorneys are working for him. The most honest thing ever stated, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this document is the most honest one ever stated. So, and then there you go, and it's Kevin L. Alfonsi this is my attorney now, right?
He's made a document up for him to sign.
Defendant's attorney, Kim Elgie, right?
And you got to remember, they stole a trust fund.
On October 6, 2015, just like right when the divorce starts, right? Okay. And then Kevin has his attorney, Justin Eschbacher. He's plaintiff. Kevin sued me in his non-legal name, hiding his California jurisdiction.
Yeah, he's plaintiff.
Right?
Kevin's plaintiff.
So we got that straight. We got defendant's attorney, Kim Elgie, and we've got plaintiff's attorney, Justin Eschbacher. Okay, so then now my attorney's making up documents, though, for Kevin to sign as defendant, right? So anyway, Kevin L. Alfonsi being sworn upon oath and disposes, because you can swear anything. That's not your legal name. So Kevin L. Alfonsi being sworn upon oath deposes and states as follows: I am defendant in the divorce referenced above. He's not. I am. Why is he saying this? Because
Yeah.
he stole a trust fund, baby. I have read and fully understand the instructions set forth in the foregoing interrogatories and a request for production and answers to interrogatories and request for production. I state under oath that I believe the answers are complete and true and correct. You can if you're using a non-legal name, mofo. I understand that the above interrogatories and requests for the production seek information and documents that are known only to me, but also to my attorneys. There's an S right there, and anyone acting on their. I mean, we're claiming it twice. We're plural right here with attorneys.
Do you think it has to do with that trust fund so they can both bill it?
For my behalf.
Both attorneys were put on
I
it?
didn't have a chance in hell. They purposely had, they were both working for him. And this man sued me for his legal fees, and they stole my trust fund. Give it back! I understand that my answers, which are set above, and the documents provided may be used as evidence. They certainly will, you dumb mofo. At the trial of this matter, further affiant saith not, dated this 3rd day of May 2016, not his legal name, can sign whatever he wants. So he's using his passport, you know, he has to be. Subscribed and sworn to, and affirmed on this 3rd day of May 2016. They're getting things ready for trial, right? So that's important, that S in here. That's important.
Well, that and there.
Right? Yeah, that's important. His attorneys,
Yeah.
right, that are helping him commit a crime.
And I got to pay for it, right?
Man. And their behalf. So we know the plural, it ain't a mistake. They're making, she's claiming both attorneys on this.
Not when they got there.
Right? And they're putting a there, they're putting a plural S. So what was the sentence again? It says, well, claiming both attorneys. I understand that the above interrogatories and requests for production seek information and documents that are known not only to me, but also to my attorneys. That's what, give me my money back, Ken! And my trust fund! And anyone acting on their behalf, isn't that special? And or my behalf. Yeah.
Yep. Bye.